All right, Facebook, we're live. Hope you're well, hope all is good. So today, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, we're going to be focusing on an interesting subject that I get asked about a lot, and people want to know a plan and a focus. So we're going to talk a little bit about going full time. And the main reason why we're doing this is because one of our students today, it is his first day essentially as a full-time trader. So he messaged me this morning and was saying, yep, today is my first day in front of the screens. Now, if you're listening to this and that's something you've done or something you can, or something you aspire to, then hopefully you'll find what I'm going to be covering today useful. So first of all, I want to wish him all the best. I want to pay testament to his hard work. For him, this process has been about 2 years in getting to that point where he's decided, right, this is what I'm going to go. I'm going to take the leap of faith and I'm going to do that. Now, again, I say the words leap of faith, but it's very important that this has been a very, very strategic process that this student has gone through. Now, I get asked this a lot from other traders is, when is a good time to go full time? What's the best strategy to trade if I'm going to trade full time? And all of these things come up essentially on a regular basis. So what I want to do today is talk a little bit about essentially what you can do if that's something that you are interested in doing. And it's important to understand that you can become a very successful, consistent trader, and you can make a lot of money trading over a long period of time, and you don't actually have to ever go full time. It can be something you do alongside your business, something you do alongside your job. Obviously, if you go full time, there's certain things to consider. So the reason I'm also bringing this up is we've got a couple of other people that have recently gone full time, but their journey's been slightly different. So the guy who's gone full time literally today, he has taken about 2 years to get to this point. And that is a combination of skill, so learning the relevant skills to do that and going from swing trading to day trading. But he has also done that because he's needed to build up the cash to be able to do it, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Whereas I've had a couple of people that I've worked with closely recently, and the difference with them is they have had a larger sum of money and they've wanted to go full time with less trading experience. So it's really important to understand that if you've got these two people, somebody who spent 2 years working on their trading and building their funds up, when they go full time, if they've done things correctly, which this guy has, and he's followed the process we've taught, then often they can be in a slightly better mental place than somebody who has left their job, got a big sum of money, a redundancy, a payout, and they've started trading full time with less experience. Often they can be a little bit more vulnerable from a mindset point of view because they've got less trades under their belt, and they've had less coaching and less experience. So it's important to understand that if you're going to do something like go full time, there isn't a one size fits all approach, because it will depend on the amount of experience that you've had. It will also depend on the finances you've got, the type of trading you're focusing on, also your environment and the people around you. Some people have very supportive partners, friends and family. Others have more skeptical friends and family. So the way that you approach it has to be different. Each person is individual. So if you message me or any of the team on Facebook and say, I want to go full time, what's the best approach? We're not going to be able to answer that with one reply, because it's going to be very dependent on your personal circumstances. So this is something, as I've said, a lot of traders want to do. A lot of traders are aspiring to this point where they can go full time. And a lot of traders are doing that because they don't like the job they're in, or they want a change of career, or they just like the idea and the romance of saying that you can trade full time, do what you want, go and play golf, go to the gym, and essentially get their time back. And I understand that. But here's what's really important is a lot of traders, and I've worked with traders over probably in the best part of 12 years now, who've gone full time, is a lot of them, what they do is they create an element of contrast. So for instance, they don't like the job they're in, so they want to trade full time. So what they do is they falsely romanticize about what it's going to be like as soon as they go full time. And I've had this discussion on numerous occasions with the guy that's going full time today. So it's very easy to think, won't it be great when I get my time back? Won't it be great when I can sit at home and do what I want? Won't it be great when I can manage my time? And won't it be great I'm at home and I can make more money because I'm able to trade more now than I ever have done before? Well, the important thing to understand is If you're going full-time as a trader, the first thing that's going to happen is your environment, your routine, and everything is going to change. So you may have gone from a 12, 14, or 8-hour day in a job you don't like to suddenly having all this time. So when you future pace it and you think about that, you think, this is going to be great, I'm going to be able to do this, I'm going to be able to do that. Where what I think a lot of people underestimate in that moment is the conditioning of what they've done for the last 10 or 20 years. So they get to a point where they've now got all this time, and actually, although it's great and it's what they've aspired to, it feels a little bit unnerving. And the risk in that point is that they either get bored, so they start trading too much, they start trading more, or they just feel a little bit unsure and they have a feeling of anxiety because it's a big change. So an important thing to remember when you go through that process is to manage that change and make sure you've got somebody you can get feedback from, especially somebody who's been through it, or get around other traders that are living and breathing that. So that's what happens in Kerry's DAX room. Martin does that in the morning, is with our day traders. They have a group of people in a similar boat, because I think a lot of the time one of the challenges can be is that they get themselves in a situation where they feel quite lonely. So the idea, as I've said beforehand, is great, but they feel quite lonely in that scenario. So their aspirations or their perception of what it will be like is a little bit different. So make sure you get around other traders that can and do that. And don't underestimate the impact on your mindset. So a lot of traders will have a very linear thought processes, which is, if I'm making this consistent amount swing trading, or I'm making this consistent amount part-time trading, if I can now trade full-time, I'm going to make more money. Because in theory, the more time I've got, the more trades I can place, the more money I can make. But this doesn't necessarily work out this way, because as I've said, if you go into it and you're feeling a little bit uneasy, you're going through all this change in your environment and your day-to-day approach, that can lead to, as I've said, boredom, which can lead to placing too many trades. That can lead to being in front of your screens a lot more. Some traders are successful because they're not sitting looking at their trades all day, but now they've got this time, they're now looking at their trades, they're now trading or getting enticed into trading strategies they don't normally, watching the charts too much, and it can actually short-term create a sense of anxiety. So be very wary of that. Don't just assume because you've got more time, you're automatically going to make more money. And also, another assumption is that if somebody's full-time, especially if they've spent 20 years grafting in a job, that now they're going to go full-time trading, they need to trade more because they're conditioned to be working harder. But remember, as a trader, the skill is not in placing the trades, it's sitting in the trades and letting them do what they need to do. So you don't necessarily have to trade more, and you don't necessarily have to day trade. I worked with a gentleman, it was probably about 2 years ago, and he's in a position where he trades full time, but he only swing trades. He hasn't automatically, because he's now a full-time trader, he hasn't automatically therefore started day trading. So you don't have to do that. If you can get the returns you need from swing trading, there's no reason that you have to full-time day trade. Remember, the term full-time just simply means that it's your primary source of income. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be putting 8 or 9 hours in. So this is where understanding your personality, assessing the type of trading you're doing, looking at your goals and planning this all out strategically is very important. And in terms of planning out, I would say the biggest mistake people make, and I've seen this a few times, and actually Martin, one of our trainers, he went through exactly this. So one of the biggest mistakes people can make in a scenario like this is they have a couple of good months. So let's say they've sat down and worked out that they need to hit 5% return a month on their account size, and that will give them enough money to live off. It might be 5%, might be 8%, it doesn't matter. But they've worked out what they need. So then what happens is they have a good month trading, they come along, they make that return, and that then incentivizes them. They think, well, I've made all I need that month. Or in Martin's situation, I think he made 2.5 months money in 1 month. So he's like, right, now I can go full time. Look at what I'm able to achieve. Now the challenge in that scenario is the brain goes into that recency bias mode and sees the result for that month, or possibly those couple of months, and thinks, great, now I can go full time. So it assumes the result from this month is going to be the same. Well, traders listening to this will know that an average return of 5% a month or an average return of 10% a month doesn't necessarily mean you get that month in, month out. So the challenge there is the trader then goes full time, they don't have an adequate buffer, and then as a result of that, the trading becomes more stressful than their job. So they go in and 2 weeks in, they're not anywhere near the 5% return they need for that month. So they start then messing with their trades. They start doing things they wouldn't do. They start getting stressed. And I say to traders in that position, look, if you do that, you will wish you were still in your job. So very important. The biggest mistake I see traders make is they get their short-term result that meets what they need to be full-time in terms of that month, and then they quit. They quit the job and they start doing it. So what's a better approach? A better approach for this is to create a buffer. Now, the absolute minimum for this would be 3 months. I would say at least 6 months, or ideally a year's worth of expenditure. And you segment that and you put that aside and say, look, there's the money. Because what that allows you to do is 2 things. It allows your trading on a month-by-month basis to fluctuate, which means you're not then trading to try and hit a certain amount that month, either a number of pounds or percentage return. So it allows you to trade as the market is giving you those trades rather than you trying to push it or force it. So it allows for fluctuation, and it also allows, so mindset-wise, it stops you pushing your trades, but it also allows for the months and weeks where you're not going to hit your numbers. Because remember, just because what you've done over the last 6 months has given you X result doesn't necessarily mean the next 6 months will be exactly the same. So it allows you to have a fluctuation in your result. And then lastly, what it allows you to do is if you're not extracting money on a month-by-month basis to pay the bills, what it allows you to do is compound. So it may mean that if you don't have to touch your money for an entire year, then you would go through the good months and the bad months, but you're able to compound that amount of money. And very often by the end of the year, you've got a larger sum, so then you extract what you need again off a greater amount rather than taking money out month in, month out. So yes, that would be the key thing. So look at this as a long-term play. Make sure you get around people that can help you, because there's all these things out there now where you've got things like FTMO, funded trading accounts. These can be used very cleverly. I say to a lot of traders, if you can turn 1,000 into 1,500, or you can meet the criteria for some of these funded accounts that you can get, the risk there is you automatically go full time and then you don't hit the numbers and you don't get the income from the funded accounts. So yes, using funded accounts is good. I suggest people use them to build up their own equity. So they build up their account to a greater size, which means they either need a lesser percentage return or they can have a bigger buffer. So remember, this is a really, really personal thing. It can be done by anybody over a long enough period of time if they've got a clear plan. But most importantly, you've got to start somewhere. And if you're full-time, people think that, yes, you're going to make more money. But remember, you've got to have a really solid mindset. You've got to be on top of your data. You've got to have a clear strategy and a plan and stick to it. And you've got to make sure your risk management's on point. So you've got to have all 4 of the pillars in place. So if you haven't got that, a good place to start is our Kickstart program. And we're running our next live Kickstart program in June. So I think it's about 3 weeks till we go live. So if you want any more information about that, message below or message Traders Support Club support@traderssupportclub.com, and we'll get you all the details you need. So I hope that was useful. Remember, don't rush into trading full time. It's different for everyone. Have a strategic approach. Good. That's what I got for you today. I will catch up with you again soon.